How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to try to beat the rainstorm and install our fish-obsessed Dominator mount for an LVS34 transducer onto our Garmin Force transmotor. And we're going to be installing it on a Garmin Force trolling motor. Now the installation really shouldn't matter if you have an Ultrex or a Kraken or whatever kind of trolling motor you have. They're pretty much generic, but you do need to make sure you buy an LVS34 mount if you have a 34, or 32 mount if you have a 32. They do not interchange. So you do need to make sure you get the mount that is set up for a trolling motor, not for a pole mount. So this is a TMA-LVS34-DOM-TM for a trolling motor. So let's go ahead and get going before we get rained on. So I'm going to remove the one that I have for the barrel mount. This is the stock one that comes with the LVS34. I've been running it for a little bit. No real issues with it. I just want to get it off the barrel head because I'll probably knock it off on a stump here before too long. We've got some pretty stumpy areas that I go fish. So I've got my 8mm nut driver here. We're gonna pop this off, cut some electrical tape, and then we'll see it when you get ready to install. Alrighty, done with that. Let's go ahead and see what's in the box. We've got some thunder coming in. We might get wet here before too long. All right, so we do have our actual Dominator mount. So this guy is gonna go on the trolling motor, and this guy will go on the transducer. And this is flipped, so this will ultimately go like this and then be clocked down, but we've got to get it kind of mounted up first. But that is our transducer holder mount. Okay, so it comes with a faux link, which I guess is this guy. So if you need some additional space off of the shaft, I guess you can do something like that. I guess we'll see how that goes when we get there. And a bolt. So what we're doing when we do this is we're getting away from the knob. So the knob on the LVS34, you loosen it, adjust the transducer, tighten it, and we're going back to like a pre-torqued clicking type operation. So we're going to be able to click it without loosening anything, and that's what the orientation they're showing you here. So you got a big nut, and you've got some inverted Belleville washers to create that tension. Number 3 is another big washer. You got your mount, and then your bolt. So all that stuff is included in this pack here. So these are our Belleville washers. They're curved and they provide that preload. We got a sticker. That's cool. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm not used to this faux link. My LVS32 mount did not have a faux link, so we'll have to see how that works out. I had it before mounted as such that it was lower than my strap. So my strap comes over. I don't really have space there, so I put it here. So it's still close to the trolling motor head, but it does move out of the way, which is good. So let's go ahead and get that going. We're gonna get our Allen key. Let's see what size that is. Like a 3/16 in freedom units. We'll take these out. Comes all pre-assembled, gives you a visual of what you're looking at. Once that's snug, we should be able to click this down. Well, there's where you need the spacer. We're gonna take it back off again. And so there's why you're watching the video. I get to redo this for you, give you some insight, so you only have to do it once. Okay, so we'll see how the edit goes on this. But I initially tried to put it on here, and it hit the trolling motor head with how I want to have it set up. And it does come with this, whatever this is, faux lock, and then that gives you a little more headroom. So we're going to stack them up like this. This is intended the way it comes. And there are some longer fasteners included. And so we'll go ahead and do it this way. Okay, this is snuggish. Again, make sure they're all kind of even. You don't want one real tight. Go around a couple times, get it right. Okay, now that that is tight, the next thing you do is put on our actual transducer mount. But before it comes already on there, but you need to pull it off, and we're going to put the hardware together. So as it's shown here, transducer, you got a nut, 2 sets of washers opposing each other, big flat washer, and then our transducer. So we're going to kind of sub-assemble that and then slide it on to the actual unit here. I've got all the hardware hiding behind the trolling motor. I think we're about to get wet. They're diverting planes over my house because of the storm. So let's get going. So we have our small washer, our big bolt, And then we are going to put our mount on. And inside the mount, we've got a big washer, 2 Belleville washers going the same way. Then we're going to flip 2, looking the other way, our nut on there. Okay, I'm going to try and snug this up. Muy rapido. Ooh, doggy, these clouds are getting close. Okay, and this is a snugging up activity. I want it snug, but not too snug. We'll just get it on there and then we'll adjust it. We're getting there, I promise. It's just I'm having to do this a couple times because this one's a little different than the last one. Okay, actually, it's gonna go like this. Wire to the back. See, that'll look about right. We got pretty good tension on that. Now's a good time to make sure your transducer's in line. All right, we are snugged up. The wind is now here. It's time to go. Okay, wow, we got a lot of rain. We got like an inch of rain in the last hour. So let's go ahead and continue back where we were. So we had just kind of got this mounted up. I went in and tightened up the nut on the backside with our 1/2-inch socket. So now we've got a decent amount of preload so that we can move this at will, but not too loose that it'll move around on its own. And from here, we tightened up our mount here. So now that gives us the capability to do the perspective mode. When you look here, there's also some notches on the top, so you can line up your transducer to the different modes. So we want to make sure that we're leaving enough room with our remaining transducer cable here. Let me cut this tape off that it can route, kind of do whatever it needs to in all different areas. Now we may, you know what, I twisted this, so let me pop this off real quick and untwist my cord. Okay, back on top. All right, so I'm gonna jump in here on a quick trick on what I learned to try to make sure you get this alignment as close as you can. So I went to the Measure app on my iPhone and have this loose, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this parallel to my trolling motor shaft. So I'm at 15 degrees, negative 15 degrees. I'm at negative 20. I'm gonna dial that into negative 15 degrees, and that's gonna ensure my transducer is running as parallel as it can to my trolling motor head and snug it up there. So hopefully that tip helps out. Like I said, these are all machine parts, so you're gonna get some pretty solid perpendicularity on a lot of this stuff as it stacks up. So that's gonna be a good starting point for us as we snug it up. Alrighty, so here is the setup from another angle. We've got our bolts here. It goes through our stock mount here, and there's the washer stack, and the nut is in here. This bolts on, this twists, so when you do your perspective mode, you can do that. We have our backer, we have our, what's that thing called, a faux lock, something like that. I'll put it up here. Faux lock is here. That gives us the extra spacing I wanted to make sure I had some clearance here. I'm trying to jam it as far down so that I can make sure I have room for my strap when this all lays down. Will run about right here. We will do our wiring just over the top, move our slack back up the trolling motor. We're just using our electrical tape to bundle that up. And this is pretty tight, but they do say in the instructions, do not loosen it up, leave it as is. And let me show you how this pops out. So you're gonna go, something like that, and then fold it down, and that's gonna give you your perspective mode there. The last thing we have to do is we are going to just run our slack back up here. Make sure you have enough room in your cable to do the different modes. And once you get that done, I'm gonna spare you that. I'm just gonna tape this up, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna leave a link down below. They are kind of hard to find right now. They're doing, I believe, some weekly drops on their site for getting some of the mounts. Like I said, this is the Dominator mount. I have no affiliation with them. They just make a super nice product. I like that it's not 3D printed, it's machine part. It's very robust. I used it on my LVS34. Very happy with it. Appreciate you coming along. We got another video lined up for you right here. We'll see you next time. You know, I typically would not recommend anything